call the roll.
Bob Smith, Mandy Croft, Linda Meyer, Michelle Lott, Jason Chalker.
Here.
All present.
Will you please join with me for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a regular meeting of the Sidney City School Board for the purpose of conducting our business. And Tiffany, would you greet our visitors, please?
Yeah, tonight with us we have a crew of VARTEC personnel, as well as John Sammons, one of our custodians.
Thank you.
It's not on?
Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
I do have one change.
Okay.
Item D under the treasurer's report, the unclaimed funds. There are a couple checks that we're still trying to resolve. So I would like to wait and bring that back in November, make sure everything's as clean as we possibly can.
So you're asking to have that removed?
Remove that one, yes.
Okay, then we're removing item D under the treasurer. Any other changes? Then the agenda stands as amended. As some of you may have heard or seen, we recently lost one of our staff members, Bev Eilerman. And if you would everyone please join, stand and join with me for a moment of silence. Next item, Tiffany, do we have any public participation?
No.
So next up, would be moving to our reports and presentations. First item is reading of the new revised policies. We will be taking no action because this is the first reading, but did anyone have any questions on any of those policies? And Bob and Mike, thank you so much for the barrage of emails that you answered over the weekend as I kept sending questions to you, but thank you. Okay, next item, we will move to our presentation on the blended learning plan by VARTEC, and the board is going to go out and sit in those chairs.
Up there. Can you press the button? Please?
As long as we're not hugging and kissing other people.
Yeah. Thank you.
Or not.
Is everybody comfortable if we take these off while we talk? You guys comfortable? You guys comfortable? Yeah. Not particularly. Can you guys hear me okay? We'll project. We're good. All right. Let me make sure. Wonderful. Can you guys see everything behind us? Awesome. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for allowing us to come back and present. I know it's personally it's been about a year since I've seen most of you in person presenting. And so I wanted to introduce my colleagues while we're here. And so again, Jamie Martin, Director of Customer Experience. I've got my colleague, Misty Orther, Director of Technology Integration, and Dr. Kat Childers, who is our Academic Technology Coordinator here for Sidney. Kat, can you introduce the rest of our team that's here, please?
I'd love to. So tonight we have the entire Sidney crew with us. So right behind us here we've got John Bruno, He is the network administrator. Next up is Christine Duffy. She is a classroom technology coach. And then our IT support specialist, Pam Driscoll, Cody Cagle, Andrew Scott, and Eric Davis.
Thanks, guys, for being here. We wanted to invite them here so that you could see who's kind of helping the vision of the blended learning plan get executed day in and day out. And so about a year ago, when we had these kinds of conversations and we looked to start partnering, we knew that the reason, one of the reasons Bob picked up the phone is he knew that he wanted to, have instruction drive the learning environment and have technology and technology integration initiatives to support that learning environment. And so this is a quote that we kind of lean back on as a company, and that we know that it's always about the impact on the student and that the driving force is instruction. So what we hope to show you today is where we're at with planning for that and for the use of technology in the classroom. So a couple of things that I wanted to revisit, again, it's been a while. We've been really busy for the last 10 months. Other than stating the obvious that as soon as we began with transition, we found ourselves in the throes of COVID, and so we were, supporting the immediate, from afar, the immediate transition into what it looked like to support your teachers from a remote standpoint. But also we started transition, and in July we began our full service implementation. And so just wanted to revisit kind of the timeline that we put in the transition binder that we provided to you all, and some of the things that we have been able to accomplish. I'm trying to get out of the way here. But over the summer, getting prepared for school startup and what that looked like. A big portion of what we're going to talk about tonight is that second bullet where we met with curriculum leaders so we could understand what do you envision teaching and learning to look like in the classroom. Begin the school year, well, that's just a little tiny box on that big chart. We know that was a huge effort, in collaboration between the school and our team to get things ready. And we've settled into what is our kind of regular deliverable schedule of weekly, monthly, and quarterly status reports and daily management of the technology environment. And we're heading into heading into our inventory and asset refresh planning stage of our year. We'll talk a little bit about that. It's not the main focus in terms of planning for tonight. We'll talk a little bit about where that is on the timeline. And I think the team is well versed in inventory preparation right now, having spent most of the last couple weeks doing so. And so a couple other ideas that I wanted to revisit tonight is, some of the value of our partnership and what we're bringing to support you in your initiatives. And we start with best practices, and we start with a company called COSIN, or an organization called COSIN, which is the Consortium of School Networking. And they've put together these 10 key areas for successful technology environments in schools. So not just in corporate or different industries, but in schools. And they're categorized into 3 layers, if you will. And the top of that layer, or the top layer, is leadership and vision, and understanding what it means to align vision and strategy, what it means to understand ethics and policies, and how to take an idea and put it into a strategic plan. And again, ensure alignment with any other plans that might be in place. And the really critical component is understanding the educational environment. We knew that a blended learning environment was a major initiative, and so we knew that we needed to have educators on our team. And so we talked a little bit about the team members that are here, but we knew that understanding education, both on site in our team, but also as a company that's been serving schools for almost 32 years, that understanding the educational environment is very important. What it means to have a solid professional development plan, what it means to focus on instruction and really make sure that time in the classroom is well spent. Team building and understanding at a school who all the stakeholders are, and that goes beyond the 4 walls of the district and into the community. And then finally, managing technology and support resources. So your IT management, your data management, communications management, and business management. All of these, all 10 areas combined make up a successful educational technology environment. And with the team on the ground that we have here, supported by our company, that's what we aim to deliver. You may remember this pyramid. It's how we take those best practices and we provide our services and our support. And it's built on a solid foundation as we build up a solid foundation of IT leadership, which is everything that Kosten talked about in the leadership and vision. And it's going further to say, what does it look like to budget multi-year asset refresh plan so you know how you're going to refresh your end user devices and your technology infrastructure? How do you approach technology deployments with a project plan? How do you do so on time, in scope, and within budget? And it's those items that allow us to have successful technology implementation and responsive service delivery. If we aren't planning, it's really hard to execute well in the service delivery and technology implementation. And as we move up this pyramid, when we are humming, if you will, in the blue and the yellow, which is where we aim to be, and we will be all throughout the year working in the blue and the yellow. We get to play in what we call the red zone. And so technology integration is why we're here tonight. It's why we're here to present this blended learning plan. It's when we are able to build upon foundational layers and we get to this point where teachers are confident to use the technology that's been purchased to be in their classrooms. They believe it's going to work. They feel confident in using it to not only substitute something in the classroom, but redefine what the learning experience looks like for students. That's where we want to be, because ultimately we're all here to help drive an increase in student engagement. And so, as I said, we've been working in the blue and the yellow, and we'll continue to do. We have several initiatives that we'll briefly touch on today, but you'll see from us in the future. And once we are able to help the school implement blended learning, that's where we'll be playing in that red zone. So I'm going to hand it over to Misty to talk a little bit about our strategic planning process.
Yeah, so like Jamie mentioned, our ultimate goal is really to play in that red zone. That's where we're really direct face-to-face or online affecting students. So that's our goal. But in order to get there, we've got to build our way up through, technology that works for us and that does what we need. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about strategic planning and kind of what that looks like. So we see this as a series of concentric circles, kind of. Every piece kind of rolls into the next piece and they all work together to make the best environment for strategy and for planning in the future. So here you'll see those 4 circles. I'm going to start with the smallest one. That's our annual professional learning syllabus. That's something that Christine Jesse, your classroom technology coach, and Dr. Shoulders are already in development of. And we hope to share that out with you very soon. Ideally before Christmas break, because we hope to implement that professional learning syllabus when we come back after break. So what that entails is just kind of a list of needs that we've identified on our own, needs that we've identified by working with your curriculum specialist, working with Brooke, and just kind of identifying what those needs might look like and how we can help move teachers forward and then move students forward. So we're outlining what that looks like. Then we move into the multi-year blended learning plan, which is what we're here to present to you today. So we're on that piece of the puzzle. The multi-year blended learning plan covers several different things, and I'll dig into that in just a moment. And then you'll also hear us mention that technology optimization plan, or the TOP plan, and how those 2 pieces kind of interact together. All of these roll into something quite larger that we're just beginning to start rolling here in Sidney City Schools, which is that overarching multi-year education strategic plan. So these are kind of the pieces and parts of that. The technology plan here will consist of those 2 main pieces that I already referenced, that technology optimization plan. And we hope to share that with you in January of 2021. We hope to have that plan outlined and ready to share. So we'll be back then to talk to you about that. But for now, we'd love to talk to you about the blended learning plan, which is the multi-year plan that outlines our strategy to incorporate meaningful technology into your classroom. We know that the classroom learning experience is driven by instruction and what the goals are for objectives and learning environment. And that really is complemented so well in a blended environment to increase engagement. So we're here to share that with you today. I know the timeline says January 2021, which is when we hope to begin implementing this plan a little further, even though we've kind of started some steps on the back end for sure. So let me just share with you a little bit about blended learning and kind of how we got to the point of developing this plan a little bit. So the purpose question was, how does a blended learning plan help our district, help our students, how does it achieve instructional alignment? So I kind of break that down into three things. First of all, if we define blended learning, it's pretty simply the way we offer instruction through both the online environment and the face-to-face environment, and blending those two things together. So once we've been able to do that and kind of understand what that looks like, then we can lead into understanding how our instruction will drive that process. So the district has selected a couple of instructional strategies that they really want to focus on over the course of this plan, and that instruction will drive how we develop that blended learning environment that students will learn in. So it's really good blend of the two of those things together. We started planning for this in June, July, and then we had some of our first discussions for planning purposes in August of 2020. We shared research-based practices with the district. We were able to identify goals, what we want this plan to look like, what it can look like, what our good hopes and dreams are for the way technology will be used in classrooms to increase student achievement. We selected some options, some instructional strategies were identified, some blended learning plan options were identified, some technologies were identified that will help drive all of this forward. And then we created a draft of the plan, and it went through several revisions, but we feel really great about the draft of the plan we're sharing with you today. And now we're beginning that approval process, which is just sharing with you, hopefully for approval on moving forward in this direction. And then we'll begin implementation, as I mentioned before. That's slotted for January 2021, assuming that we meet all of our goals and needs today. I'm going to let Dr. Childers kind of walk you through an outline of what the plan looks like.
Sure. So, so we're in phase one right now. Phase one, what we knew after speaking with the district, kind of coming up with the vision and the overall mission of the plan, was that we needed to have a learning management system. And for the district, they had already kind of settled on Schoology. So a big part of what we've done so far this year, and will continue to do as the year progresses, is teaching teachers how to use the learning management system effectively in the classrooms to build instruction, to build places where students can go and retrieve their assignments, turn assignments in, things like that. So that's where we're at right now, and we started the year before school even started. So we provided some professional development for teachers, both from the teacher side of Schoology and then also from the students aspect, so that they really understood how to teach their kids how to be effective and use the Schoology platform. So that's where we started at. And then sharing future goals, that's kind of what we're here to do today. In phase two, you'll start to see us integrating technology in with the district's plan. So the district is creating a foundation of instructional focus that is a backwards designed plan. So basically that just means planning with the end in mind. And so as we move towards that plan, we'll be there to support and integrate technology each step of the way of that process. A big part of that is implementing Performance Matters. Again, that's a district initiative that's important. It partners and pairs with Power School, thank you, with Power School, and it's a Power School initiative. So we're going to expand on that. And really what Performance Matters does is it's an assessment tool. So it allows the district to create an assessment bank so that we can better measure where our students are and better plan for future teaching and learning. So in phase three, we'll continue down that process. We will continue to model and explore best practices in integration of technology as teachers are beginning and becoming comfortable planning with the end in mind. And teachers will begin using the Performance Matter assessment tool. At this point, we're going to expect that about 50% of our teachers are both integrating blended learning environment and are using that assessment and planning piece to further drive instruction. When we get to phase four, all along, phase four and phase five in particular, you're going to see that technology changes over time. And so we're going to stay abreast of the changes that are being made and help the district incorporate some of those new best practices along the way. That's going to be important in those last phases for sure.
by phase 4, we're going to say that probably 75% of our teachers should be at the point where they're using both backwards design, implementing technology in the classroom, and using performance matters as their assessment tool as we move forward. And then again, in that final phase, we're going to continue to bring forth best practices, performance matters. We're expecting full implementation by then. So all teachers are creating lesson plans with the end in mind. Blended learning has now just encompassed and become a piece of that, all encompassing. And we've got an assessment bank that's strong enough for teachers to use it to make data-driven decisions.
So I'm just going to reiterate, sorry, I'm not loud. Let me just reiterate our goals. Like Kat said, we'll revisit lots of new opportunities and ways that we can improve upon the plan, especially in phase 4 and 5 when more teachers are comfortable with the environment that we're creating and they see the benefits of that with their students as well. But just to reiterate these final goals, infrastructure-wise, our first goal was to implement an LMS. So Sidney already had selected a fantastic LMS system that's being implemented in a phased kind of rollout as well, which our classroom technology coach, along with Brooke Essler and Dr. Childers, put together. You'll see the technology optimization plan. That top plan will come out very soon. We hope to do that in year 1. You've already seen a tentative date for that. And then an asset refresh plan, which we refer to as an ARP, is being developed currently. And as Jamie mentioned earlier, that asset refresh plan is really great for budgeting purposes because it will help you see what equipment you have and how that needs to be replenished, kind of moving on down the line. So for equipment specifically, the district has put into play a goal for a 1-to-1 student-to-device ratio. We're targeting that by year 3 of this plan. No later than year 5, just because you never know what's going to come up in the budget, of course, but ideally we'd like to achieve that by year 3. And then blended learning, we're creating a blended learning environment in order to support the district's initiative for both backward design and for use of that performance matters tool, which we know drives instruction based on data that we're getting from our students. So where are they now and how can we move them forward? So that's kind of the gist of that. I'm going to let Jamie wrap up. She has a few more things to talk about here.
Are there any, I know that there is, I believe there's a copy of this presentation in the packet. Are there any questions on the blended learning plan? The infographic is a part of the plan draft, but are there any questions we can answer tonight?
Are you looking at me?
No reason why I'm looking at you.
I found myself looking at you.
So I do have a couple questions.
Oh, I'm shocked.
The goal of one-to-one student to device, is that only while the student is on premise at school, or does that also extend to their house?
Go ahead. Okay. So the goal right now is to try to get the district 1-to-1 at the high school level, where they would take those home with them, even still this year. As we roll into subsequent years, it's kind of going to depend on probably many factors, but it would be really nice to see the middle school move to that same kind of initiative, at least in 7th and 8th grade. And then for the younger kids, it's probably going to really be cards. I don't see those little kids taking those devices home with them necessarily, at least not initially. But long term, who knows? But initially, I would look for your older kids to take them home.
Which is good. I wouldn't want that learning to end,
Right. That's right.
just when the bell rings.
Yeah,
But I do have a concern that not all of our families have access to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have that as part of the plan also?
Connectivity is definitely something that will be considered in the plan, and it'll also be addressed as part of the asset refresh plan and the technology optimization plan. Since hotspots were purchased in the spring, they become a part of the inventory, and I have to check to see how many we got back. But should connectivity at home be a consideration, we would work with Bob and Brooke and Mike to find out whether or not we were going to be sending those back home.
And also the grant, the broadband grant that we put in, I can't remember the number of devices. Do you remember?
255 LTE devices were purchased, and they're not in district yet due to COVID, of course, but they've been ordered.
Basically 255 Chromebooks that will have LTE service that will be attached to them.
And there's currently over 100
those on Verizon, or do you know the service provider?
You can use
We can use
whichever.
whatever we want on that. The hotspots right now are T-Mobile, but the devices, we can attach them to whoever.
The only downside with T-Mobile, last time I remember, south side by the Big Ford Bridge, east outside of 12 Park, and some of the north end is weak on T-Mobile.
Right.
And I only know that because I use T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Interesting how that changes, because T-Mobile and Sprint
Yep.
just merged.
Yeah.
So I'll have to say.
That might
Sprint
improve.
still isn't great when you get up here, but
What's that?
I said Sprint isn't great in places around here.
My early discovery so
Right.
far has said, working with the vendors has basically said that Verizon has a really good track record with these LTE devices, so that's something that we really need to use.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be the same on both. Like the hotspots could be
I know.
T-Mobile's,
Yeah, and actually, I think that's probably a really wise idea, just in case.
and the LTE Chromebooks could be a different service.
When you deploy a one-to-one initiative that includes students taking devices home, part of our inventory and tracking will be knowing which device goes to which student, and part of that data collection will probably be, do they have connectivity challenges at home? Do we allocate, an already enabled device for them?
And
And
that
track that.
perimeter has already been set up for our current students that are remote. Every device that the district handed out, we have tagged to that student already. And if they have a mobile hotspot, we have that as well.
So that'll be part of just our inventory and tracking. What else?
Another question.
What else, Bob? Yep.
The tool that we'll be using is Performance Matters. But I believe for the
Correct.
last several years, we've been purchasing as a map. What is the relationship between those two, which at least from my point of view, seem to do a very similar thing?
I'm going to refer that to Kat or Brooke, but Brooke is not here because she's not
So
here.
Dr. Childress it is.
Performance Matters is an assessment tool through
Power School.
Power School. Through Power School. So it's not something extra, it's something that they just want to utilize a tool that's already there. Math testing in NWEA really is to just see if they're ready for the state test, right? So where I see the difference is that where that is gathering data to say how well have we done in this third of the year, because it's broken up into three pieces. How well have we done to prepare our kids in this third of the year? Performance Matters can be a tool that teachers can use ongoing in a much more targeted selection, so very standards-based, if you will. So on this standard that I want to teach, here's this bank that I've now created that I can pull from. And when I'm planning with the end in mind, I've got these tools already that I know, okay, these are the things that I really need to test for. Now, how do I back that up in my planning? And, what activities need to happen so that we can get here? And I think that that's where that assessment tool is really going to help teachers understand whether or not what they intended to do happened.
So you think they're complementary then?
I think they're
And
complementary.
that is more of a
Different jobs.
more of a diagnostic of
Yeah, overall.
overall, did everyone get where they needed to go during this chunk of time?
Because originally when we purchased MAP, I thought we were going to get some of those same low-level details of where students were weak so that we could target curriculum at them.
It
does.
That's correct, it does.
And it does do that.
Performance matters.
Yes, yeah. Performance Matters will be the quick checks along the way, all the places along the way, so that they can inform instruction and change it, on a dime. Whereas if you wait for math testing, you've waited 3 months before you decide the kids didn't get what you thought you had. Performance Matters is going to clear up those gaps.
MAP is more of a summative type of
It is,
tool, and Performance Matters is more of an on short cycle
Yep.
tool.
Math testing does have the capability to do some of the same things that Performance Matters does, but it's another subscription.
Right.
Additional
It's
cost.
additional to what's
Right.
So
And-
my last question, I think for now, but I'm sure there will be more, is I know that there are no immediate solutions. Our goal is to educate students as well as we can. What metrics can we use to measure the performance of these changes within our district?
So I think, I would confirm this with Brooke. I apologize, she's not going to do it, but I believe that we plan to incorporate into this blended learning plan opportunities for checks and balances. So specifically what that looks like would probably be determined by Brooke as the curriculum director, our director of curriculum, in that, whether she chooses to use max assessment to test that, or if she's using Performance Matters to test it more frequently to see what kind of growth and achievement we're seeing in students based on what's happening in the classroom. So we'll make note to specify that more, I think, but that's my understanding of what she is right now, correct?
I think so. But also, I think that we have a unique opportunity to go into classrooms too and watch and see what teachers are doing. So from our perspective, we're trying to integrate technology. We want to see teachers using it. That's one of the reasons that you have educators on the team, that we can go in and do just-in-time training when teachers are struggling and are hiccuping along the way. We can come in and support them, watch them do it, help them do it, and then come back and rate them later and make sure that they got it. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes us niche and unique.
Yeah, and I think to kind of a specific example, and with Schoology and the rollout in terms of adoption, you guys have been tracking the adoption of the phases and how many teachers are completing each phase, so that you know when to introduce new concepts or when to train up other concepts. And I mean, that's something that I can speak at a very high level about, and not get into the details like Christine and Dr. Childress can, but those we have lots of pieces in place to assess subjectively and objectively, and those plan specific assessments, since we're kind of still in draft mode, will be the final piece to share.
Because I'm all about the technology.
Yeah, you are.
However, the district is not swimming in money.
Right.
And so we need to make sure that we are purchasing what best puts us at our home.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you saying that, because we can stand up here and talk about new and cool tech, but if ultimately it doesn't drive instruction or lead to the top of that pyramid and student engagement, it's not purposeful, it's not intentional. Right. And so anything that comes out of as an outcome of the blended learning plan, or anything that is part of the professional learning syllabus, that it's going to be data-driven, teacher-driven, instruction-driven. And I think a really cool part, if I may, I'm not part of the development, so I feel like I can say this third party, of the professional learning syllabus, is it's going to look at an annual, what are the topics that we're hearing about or we're seeing, and let's address those systematically, address them weekly, monthly, have checkpoints, and then that'll help drive efforts that Christine and Kat are doing in the classroom with teachers. So really good point.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And just to compliment what Kat already said, those two pieces together, I think, really give an opportunity for our folks to be in classrooms, and not for the purpose of evaluation, but for the purpose of coaching.
Right.
So if this
feels way different than having an administrator come in.
If this area of technology is a challenge for some teachers, then we are able to come in and kind of co-teach that piece with them. Here's what it looks like. Let me help you walk through this with your students so that we can be sure that everyone's on the same page. That also does provide opportunity, just from an observational viewpoint, kind of an informative way to kind of see where everyone is and how, if it didn't go well, then we can reteach that next week, or we can set an appointment with Christine to do a one-on-one session to make sure that teacher understands and is using it effectively.
Right, and I think it goes beyond just teachers using technology and integrating them into their lessons. It moves past that, and we really want to see students using the technology to do things that they never could have done without that technology. So redefining what teaching and learning looks like, and we know that kids don't learn all the same ways, and so if we can provide other opportunities for kids to showcase their learning, then we're doing them a great service.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
With Schoology in the nation, in the state that it is, are you seeing additional hiccups and connectivity issues with the platform that maybe is getting better or worse?
It looks like it's getting better, and I know that because the calls have went from when they first started were incredible to very minimal now. And one of the things that we're able to do as kids are struggling with a piece of it, Christina or I will sit together and develop even a how-to guide for parents that we put on the website, things like that just answer those questions that they were having, and that's really stopped a lot of the issues once Schoology kind of caught up to themselves.
Right.
Yeah, I think, to that point, Schoology fell into the same,
Yeah,
hole that every other platform that wasn't ready to scale and wasn't ready for everybody to be online at home all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
we work with a couple of other districts that are using Schoology, and they experience the same surge of issues.
But it wouldn't have been,
but it's all.
yeah, and it wouldn't have been
flat
just Schoology,
Mhm.
you know, Canvas did the same
Oh,
thing,
Yep.
all the other,
Blue Cross
they
and
just
everything.
weren't ready
Yeah.
for the volume of a pandemic.
Yep.
That's just the truth of it. I mean, none of us were ready.
Did that answer your question?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, anything else? Okay, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a taste of a roadmap of things to come. I like my charts and my colors here, but we touched on this a little bit. Asset refresh plan, where'd you go? And technology optimization plan, both are in development, and I could say that because, again, asset refresh plan is driven by conducting and validating inventory. Once we know what we have and the ages of what we have, then we can kind of lay out a leveled out approach to refresh that aligns with best practices of refreshing 20% devices each year. Along with that will be what we're calling a technology optimization plan. There we go. Left-handed. That's going to take, what infrastructure upgrades, we're looking at things like content filtering and the firewall and different things like that. But beyond that, to support blended learning, to support going one-to-one district-wide as a 5-year goal, hoping to hit by 3, what infrastructure upgrades need to occur to be able to support that? Beyond the district's 4 walls, with the consideration of already connected devices. Those are the kinds of things we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at upgrades, risks, mitigation strategies, and different things like that. That's what will be in the technology optimization plan. Again, we'll start executing, ideally, the blended learning plan in January. We'll continue with our regular deliverables. I know Dr. Childers is starting principal meetings this month, getting kind of a thumb on the pulse in all of our buildings, making sure that whatever technology needs they have for the month ahead, that we're getting in front of that and support that, and also just learn how support's going and where we can always get better. State testing support, we will support that, make sure in whatever capacity students are going to be accessing state testing, whether it's at home, in the district, and we're going to make sure that we are supporting the classrooms that way. And then one thing that we didn't really get to see because, again, we were kind of in that transitional phase, but in April and May, we'll start working with other departments, and such as facilities, buildings and grounds, and start identifying some of our summer tasks to really take advantage of the time that we have during the summer to get some things done. Take anything that we have on the technology optimization plan and really start executing when buildings are a little bit less busy and everything. So again, roadmap for the next 6 months, 6 to 8 months. So kind of talk your ears off. Any other questions about blended learning? Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I'll disconnect and I'll turn it off, Bob, so it's not in your face. You got it? I think so.
All right.
Yeah, the power button. I think you have to do it twice. Makes sense.
Okay, next item on our agenda is the treasurer's report.
Okay, The first item are the minutes, financial reports, and invoices paid. I'd like to request a motion to approve those minutes, financial reports, and invoices paid as presented.
Do I have a motion? Linda? Michelle?
Okay. Really have not much to cover for the month of September financials. On the revenue side, none of the property taxes have been collected. We can go over that. Our state foundation, which is the unrestricted, is right on, basically on target what we would anticipate to be at this point. Property tax allocation basically follows along with the property taxes. If you remember, the property taxes lagged a little bit in the first collection. The homestead and rollback, they're going to follow suit because they're coming from the same payment stream. So, but still, it's less than 1% difference to this point in the year. And overall, the revenue is within 0.74% of the budgeted amount. On the expenditure side, salaries and benefits still performing better than expected. The one item over this whole thing is still our purchase services. And if you remember last year, that seemed to be the thorn in our side that it really lagged where it performed worse than we had anticipated. We had more expenditures in that area than we had anticipated last year. And again, this year, through the first 3 months, the purchase services are just about $55,000 more than we had budgeted for this time this year. I haven't had a chance to dig deep into that at this point. I will be doing that over the next few weeks till we get to the next board meeting. I'll be able to report something a little more in depth. I mean, my first kind of blush at that, I didn't see any one particular item that necessarily stuck out, that said, oh yeah, that's it. So, like I said, I'll dig a little bit more into those purchase services over the next few weeks. Past that, our overall expenditures are performing better than budgeted by a little over 4%.
Any questions or discussion? Mike, would you please call roll?
Meininger.
Yes.
Lott.
Yes.
Croft. Schaffner.
Yep.
Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries. You did it. Take your.
I clicked it, but it did go through. I'm just so funny for a
Got it
second.
for you. Moving to item B is our Plato renewal. We'd like to request a motion to approve the Plato renewal for a 3-year period beginning July 1st, 2021 and expiring June 30, 2024 at a cost of $272,560.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Jason? Michelle?
Okay, I will do my best to give an explanation because I'm hoping Brooke would be here. She's much more involved with it. But overall, this subscription is for online academic materials that's used by both the MRESC for Opportunity School and for various programs within our district. So while the subscription is going through Sidney City Schools in total, we share this 50-50 with the MRESC, and so I bill them back for their share annually, and they pay for it as they receive the invoice. And actually, something I forgot to put in here, I wanted to share. In this first year, the SC actually wrote a grant, Civil Trust wrote a grant that we can apply to this. So of our first annual payment of a little over $90,000, $80,000 of that is covered by this grant.
And so then we would only have half of the remaining 10?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Mike, would you please call roll?
Schaffner.
Yep.
Lott. Croft.
Yes.
Meininger. Smith.
Yes, if it goes through this time.
It did. as we all catch up. All right. And the last item is declaring transportation impractical. I'd like to request a motion to approve a resolution declaring transportation to be impractical for the 3 students to Troy Christian Schools for the 2020-2021 school year.
Do I have a motion? Linda? Michelle? And Mike, this is just annual house cleaning, right?
Correct. At this point, we have 3. Last year, we had, I believe it was 5 or 6 students, but this year, at this point, it's only 3.
It's so we don't have to send a bus down.
We're still required to provide transportation, just like we do for the kids that go to Holy Angels, Lehman, Christian Academy, because they're within a certain radius of our district. But if, in this case, for 3 students, it doesn't make sense. It's impractical for us to transport that. We can offer an amount to pay the parents per student to transport the students each year. And we've done this for a number of years now.
So how far out are we?
I believe it's 30 miles. 30 minutes.
So.
30 minutes, okay.
What's that?
If they're going to go to the city, school,
Then we would know.
we would not transport, but we would have to reimburse them.
No.
30 minutes. 30 minutes from our building to their building.
I don't think you're supposed to say that when we're streaming this. Any other questions? I don't have a pop-up, so you. Okay, please call that.
Yes. Meininger.
Yes.
Lott.
Yes.
Croft. Schaffner.
Yep.
Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries. And that completes my section.
Next up is superintendent's report.
Okay, I'd like to receive a motion to approve personnel items as presented.
Do I have a motion? Michelle? Linda? Any questions or conversation? Mike, would you please call
Lott.
Yes.
Meininger. Schaffner.
Yep.
Croft. Smith.
them? Yes.
We will correct that on the final.
Yeah, if we need a tech person, we've got one too.
No, I mean, that's.
Oh, I'm sorry. And next, I'd like to request a motion to approve Dan Besman as to the library board of trustees.
Do I have a motion? Jason? Mandy? So Bob, this is something that we do each time that they have someone to appoint.
Correct.
Central,
Correct. Mhm.
So, any questions? Mike, would you please call roll?
Schaffner.
Yep.
Croft. Meininger. Lott. Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And finally, I'd like to request a motion to approve the London Learning Technology Integration Plan, which you saw the presentation, and then the more detailed plan is in your packet.
Do I have a motion? Michelle and Andy. Our 2 teachers. Any discussion? Mike, would you please call roll?
Lott.
Yes.
Croft. Schaffner.
Yep.
Meininger. Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And thank you all. Next is our legislative report. Andy?
Okay. Let's see. The week of September 28th, the Ohio Controlling Board approved a request to use $6 million from the CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund for K-12 mental health assistance to support capacity development, connection to community resources, and implementation
The funding is going to be provided to ESCs that receive funding through a competitive grant opportunity for preventative education funding in House Bill 166. The week of October 5th, we had the Ohio Department of Education release resources regarding the fall 3rd grade English language arts tests and the end of course exams. They also released resources for literacy instruction within remote learning environments and assessment and identification of gifted students. During that week, Governor DeWine announced that he has authorized a study that will focus on K-12 students who are quarantined due to meeting the Center of Disease Control and Prevention's definition of close contact with someone who's tested positive for COVID-19. The study is in response to school district superintendents expressing concerns about the number of students being quarantined. And then finally, the week of October 12th, the Ohio Department of Education released additional information regarding assessment for development of reading improvement and monitoring plans, including 3rd grade guarantee and reading achievement and diagnostic assessment information. The State Board of Education voted 11-4 on a resolution to approve the SBOE's fiscal year 2022-23 biennial budget request. The approved resolution was submitted to the Office of Budget and Management. And finally, Governor Mike DeWine signed House Bill 17, which allows an enhanced homestead exemption for surviving spouses of public safety personnel killed in the line of duty. And that is all.
Thank you, Mandy. Any questions? Hearing none, next item is our UBCC report. Michelle.
On September 28th, the board members met in regular session. Mr. Dwayne Caudell, Director of Adult Division, gave a presentation. He explained that a new RN program will soon be implemented for those students who have completed the LPN program. This is a diploma program, not a degree program. Therefore, it will not be competing with Edison State Community College. Following completion of the RN program, the student will have the option of continuing his or her education online to obtain a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing from Muskegon College. Mr. Caudell mentioned that enrollment has been decreasing over the past few years, so he is working hard to improve relationships with area businesses and develop a comprehensive marketing plan for the general public. Dr. Luce gave us an update on the Jackson Center Community Reinvestment Agreement. She also explained the 5 revisions of proposed policies and regulations. Dr. Luce mentioned that 2 students have tested positive for the virus, and they are currently tracking several students who have extended family members who are being tested. She is in daily contact with the health departments in Miami County, Piqua, and Shelby County. Dr. Luce stated that when the students are not in class, many of them are not overly engaged. They are not logging on and are not completing assignments. She and the administration have decided to have all students in class 5 days a week starting October 19th. She said other area schools seem to be doing fine with that model of instruction. Dr. Luce said students are wearing masks, using hand sanitizers, and are social distancing, and they do want to be in school. Mr. Gibson gave an update on building projects. Currently, after bids are accepted, the welding department will undergo major renovation and expansion. The project should be completed by the fall of 2021. He mentioned that due to the USDA program, all students will receive free breakfast and lunches through December 31st. But I think now it's been changed to the end of the year. There were 2 people present for the public participation, 2 representatives from Jackson Center Community and the Board of Education. Between the 2 of them, they explained the Community Reinvestment Agreement for the construction of 1 5-unit housing complex that we had voted down the month before. Last month, the UBCC board had unanimously voted the tax abatement down. These gentlemen explained the need for this housing complex and how it would benefit Jackson Center and possibly the UBCC in years to come. The new information we heard was this project is considered commercial since it has over 3 units. After much discussion, a vote was taken and this time it passed unanimously in favor of the project. Finally, the board accepted several resignations, retirements, and approved the hiring of Jason Hawk as the new UVCC superintendent.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions? Okay, moving on. I know of no reason we should go into executive session. Are there any? Next would be to adjourn. Do I have a motion? Linda? Michelle? Any conversation? Mike, would you please take roll?
Meininger. Lot. Croft. Schaffner. Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
It's like I'm gonna unplug some, shouldn't.
Yeah.